Hello and welcome to Wildly Curious, a podcast that tells you everything you need to know about nature and probably more than you wanted to know. I'm Laura.
And I'm Katy, and we're back for the third Cosmic Critters, where today we're going to be talking about the Orbiting Frog Otolith mission.
That's awesome. Wait. Oh, okay. Yes. I was like, Otolith. I know that word.
Because it's OFO, the OFO mission.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So they're getting fancy now. Yeah. The first week for Cosmic Critters, we had last week we had Felicity the cat. So the dog, the cat. Now we're going to talk about frogs. Because
change it up.
Why not? Yeah, it's quite the jump. All right. So when we think about space exploration, the first images that come to mind are probably astronauts. Like we said, dogs, cats. Definitely not frogs. I didn't know we did this.
So cute.
Right? I didn't know we.
I think I'd heard about it, but I have no information. Like I knew that happened, right? But I did not know the specifics.
Yeah. So in the early 1970s, so this is after we're kind of at least so far going in.
They've
like
tried a lot of mammals
order.
At this point.
Yeah, let's do frogs. So 2 bullfrogs became unlikely pioneers in humanity's quest to understand the effects of space and living beings. And so I'm going to talk about the Orbiting Frog Otolith mission, or OFO, which is one of the oddest ones that I've come across as far as space biology goes. By the 1970s, NASA had already launched primates, rodents, even insects and things into orbit. But the OFO mission took a decidedly amphibious turn. The goal was to study how microgravity affects the otolith organs. So those little structures in the inner ear.
That's right. I was like, I know. The otoliths are the stones in your ears, right?
Yeah. So the inner ear that's responsible for balance and spatial orientation.
Yeah. Totally messed up you're messed up, man, if they get messed up.
Yes. If they get messed up, you are in for some trouble
and
here.
Incapacitated for a while.
Yeah. Which, I mean, why not do it to a dog then, I guess?
I know somebody who's gotten their crystals messed up from getting hit in the head or falling.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ugh. No, thank you. So the result of this research would help scientists better understand how human vestibular systems might adapt to life in space. To do this, NASA turned to an unexpected partner, the bullfrog. Why frogs? Their inner ear anatomy is actually remarkably similar to ours, making them an ideal model for studying everything ear in space.
Huh.
Plus, as amphibians, they could survive unique conditions in space with fairly minimal support.
That is incredible, considering how sensitive amphibians are. Like,
right?
If the temperature is too warm, if there's any dirt in the water, dead. But, like, you can launch them into space and they're fine?
They can be to space, but chytrid fungus.
Right.
You know what I mean? Wipes them out. Or use it if it's too hot, too cold. Maybe frogs have just got picky. They've started getting arrogant. They're like, you know what? We've been to space before humans. My tank needs to be warmer. Yeah. My tank needs to be colder. You know, just got arrogant. So NASA sourced their spacebound frogs from a Louisiana frog company located in Reiss, Louisiana.
Of course they did. I was literally thinking, boy, bullfrogs, that sounds real southern.
Yeah, right. But again, I just had assumed, like I shouldn't have, that they just probably, again, if I was a scientist, I need a frog.
Just
go get the proper permits.
Yeah.
I'm going to go just catch a frog.
You don't even need permits to get bullfrogs. There's like a hunting sack. Like you just get them in a sack.
Yeah.
Go gig a frog and send it to space.
Go gig a frog, send it to space.
Just so.
But Reiss, Louisiana is actually dubbed the frog capital of the world.
What?
Yes. So
that seems like a bit. Like
the town closest to me, they are self-proclaimed most unique restaurant capital of the world. Okay, it's not. There are good restaurants there.
Because
but it's a tiny...
Reiss, Louisiana is competing against the Amazon rainforest, and they're claiming to be the frog capital of the world? Like, maybe for eating.
But no, so I guess Louisiana, forget the Amazon, Louisiana. Which, I mean, to be fair, probably does have...
probably a ton
especially
of frogs.
Back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many frogs. So from a group of about 20 contenders, 4 finalists were selected, including 2 backups. The chosen pair, affectionately named Pierre and Tinam. Why? Don't know.
So cute.
Pierre?
Because they're from Louisiana, the French Quarter? Like what?
I don't know. But these weren't just ordinary frogs anymore. They were outfitted for a journey clearly unlike any other frog before them. So scientists surgically implanted electrodes into their vestibular nerves to monitor their neuroactivity. To reduce movement and ensure their implant stayed in place, the frogs...
No.
The frogs...
What happened?
Okay, remember how we said
Trigger warnings, everybody. Trigger warnings.
Here it comes. The frog's limb nerves were severed. So while this while this may sound intense, it was a carefully planned step to ensure that the frogs could survive the mission's duration without food or unnecessary stress. So it was like
unnecessary stress. Don't worry. Remain calm. We will just sever all of your limb function.
The unnecessary stress, I think I pulled that from a Nat Geo article because I was laughing so hard.
Unnecessary stress.
So it's just a bob of a frog now because it has its arms and legs because, you need to strap it down, but it can't feel. It can't do anything.
It's like got a little table in there. Just yeah, right. Well, it's just a brain. You know what I mean? Like it's what you picture like future space travel being, right? Like just you're hooked into the computer and Yikes. Poor Pierre.
Which again is my favorite frog name now of all time, Pierre. The frogs were placed into the Frog Otolith Experiment Package, or FOEP. FOEP.
They really like their acronyms.
I mean, it's NASA. It's pretty much the military. They all love their acronyms. So it was a water-filled chamber where they could breathe. They still had a spot where they could breathe through their skin. And it was set up as best as they could for it being a frog. With no limb movement.
With no function. Yeah. They're just half submerged, but they can't control how submerged.
Right. So,
the tank is just sloshing everywhere, and they can't do a dang thing about it.
So they claim that the water cushioned them from the vibrations of the launch.
But only if it's full of water.
Correct.
Otherwise,
so that's why I'm
sloshing against their frog eyeballs.
Yeah. So I don't think I might have had, I don't know, like a little bit. But again, like you said, if not, it's, I don't know. I tried to find,
oh my God.
Poor Pierre and Tinam.
It's so horrible.
Right. So on November 9th, 1970, Pierre and Tinam blasted off board a Scout B rocket from Wallops Island, Virginia. Their spacecraft, the OFO-1, entered low Earth orbit, becoming one of the first missions dedicated to studying how weightlessness affects vestibular function. That was the whole purpose of this. There hadn't been any other missions that had focused just on this in particular.
I guess that makes. I mean, so your otoliths give you your sense of, your sense of place, and so if an astronaut
weightlessness,
that would certainly impact those crystals. And
correct.
How do you orient yourself?
Correct, and so that was the whole point of this one.
But
and so once in orbit,
that's so crazy. I mean, I guess they're getting vestibular nerve activity. But it's not when they get back, they're interviewing Pierre and Tinam and did you feel nauseous? Did you lose your sense of self and direction?
Yeah. No. They're just studying their vitals
that would have been pretty hard since we were strapped down and couldn't move.
Yeah. So once in orbit, the onboard centrifuge simulated gravity at intervals, allowing researchers to measure how frogs' otolith organs responded to shifts between microgravity and artificial gravity. Data from the electrodes implanted in their inner ears were tracked and transmitted back to Earth for analysis. As with any space mission, challenges, of course, arose.
Of course.
During the experiment, the pressure in the canister unexpectedly increased to 11 psi, and the temperatures dropped to about 55 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's surprising. You'd think with that, the increased pressure makes higher temperatures.
Yes.
So it cooked the frogs.
Well, but it didn't. It was increased pressure, but it was already it was starting to get too cold.
Okay.
Yeah. These conditions were, of course, not ideal, but ground control experiments showed that they likely had little impact on the frog's well-being. I mean, it just got kind of cold.
It couldn't get much worse. They already had
Right?
no limb function and were in space.
Right? Yeah. It can't get
It's a
much,
little chilly.
much worse. Right? Where's his jacket?
They're
He
just
forgot his
chit
little
chat. I
space
literally
jacket.
just imagine these two poor little guys just strapped next to each other in these horrible conditions. Just, well,
Dude,
Tinam, it could not
Yeah.
get much worse than this. Like, just.
Right? And unlike the first two that we talked about, this mission continued for just over 6 days until November
Whoa.
15th, 1970, when the spacecraft's battery died, bringing the OFO mission to an end. And despite the hiccups, the mission was deemed a success.
Yeah,
'cause
where'd they
overall-
go?
So it said that the spacecraft, the battery died, the frogs then died, because they could tell that from everything being transmitted back.
Okay.
But it said that because the satellite failed, meaning, yeah, the mission ended, the frogs were dead, but technically then that spacecraft remained in orbit.
They're just floating out their little frogsicles.
Yeah, frogsicles.
50 years
Just little
later, we just find a
frogsicles.
tiny little satellite. And can you even imagine if in the future, because things will just orbit in perpetuity for, for
Yes.
a long time, 500 years from now. No, but there's no record of us. Human civilization is gone. And or we've forgotten all things. We come back to visit
Yes.
Earth and we just run into this little tiny canister and you open it up and there
With a
are two
frogsicle.
frogs strapped in like little spacemen.
Sickles. Like
Like,
little spacemen.
that would be the weirdest thing to find.
No, it would be. It would be.
You'd be like, they were frog people. 100%. You'd think we were frog people.
If you Google the Orbiting Frog Otolith mission, you can see kind of the canister that they kept them in.
Okay. Oh, it's stripey, like a Beetlejuice container.
Yeah, but see how but it's like a. If you look at some of the pictures on the inside of it, it's a, I don't know, a net almost, like a net canister thing, Mm-hmm. Regardless, you're still going to end up with a frog popsicle. So the results of the OFO mission were groundbreaking, of course. Scientists discovered that frogs experience initial disorientation and weightlessness because of the things that they implanted in their brain and everything that was transmitting the data back, with the vestibular responses normalizing within 10 to 20 hours. So because it was up there for so many days, 6 days and almost 7 days in a row, they could tell, yes, the frog's initial reaction, they definitely felt something, but then it went back to normal 10 to 20 hours later. So this acclimation provided valuable insights into how human vestibular systems might adapt to microgravity, basically paving the way, just like everything else we've talked about. Just how do we go ahead and how do we, I don't know, adapt this now for humans that we keep basing everything off of.
Craziness.
So yeah, frogs, Pierre and Tinam.
That's amazing.
Right? All right, guys, so that is the third one. We'll have another normal length episode next week, and then we have 2 more Cosmic Critter episodes after this, and then 2 more? Yeah,
Well,
2 more, I think.
2 or 3. Depends on if
2
I
or
get
3,
that third
yeah.
one written.
Right. So 2 or 3 more done, and then so we will talk to you guys next week. Go make sure you check us out on YouTube. Just search the Wildly Curious podcast and check us out on Patreon and support us if you can, and because it would definitely greatly help us and help us keep bringing you guys great content.
Bye for now.